Welcome to everyone to the City Council meeting of Thursday, March 6, 2025. The Opens Meeting Act is posted on the east wall of the council chambers, and a notice of this meeting was published in the York News Times on February 27, 2025. If you would, please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amanda, the roll call.
Northrop. North.
Here.
Shepherd. Here. Postier.
Here.
Wilkinson.
Here.
Van Esch.
Here.
Piper. McGregor.
Here.
You were all sent the minutes of the February 20th, 2025 meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes?
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Amanda.
North.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
Postier.
Yes.
Wilkinson.
Yes.
Van Esch.
Yes.
McGregor.
Yes.
Our next agenda item are claims of elected officials.
We do have 3 claims of elected officials. First is Tony North of North Printing and Office Supply in the amount of $919.88. I move for approval.
Second.
Amanda.
North.
Abstain.
Shepherd.
Yes.
Postier.
Yes.
Wilkinson.
Yes.
Van Esch.
Yes.
McGregor.
Yes.
Second, we have Jeff Piper of Piper's Inc. in the amount of $47.85. I move for approval.
Second.
Amanda.
North.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
Postier.
Yes.
Wilkinson.
Yes.
Van Esch.
Yes.
McGregor.
Yes.
Third, we have Stephen Postier as a business affiliation with York County Development Corporation in the amount of $8,797.83. I move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Amanda.
North.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
Postier.
Abstain.
Wilkinson.
Yes.
Van Esch.
Yes.
McGregor.
Yes.
Our next item are the claims for the period of February 21st, 2025 through March 6th of 2025.
Yes, the Finance Committee did meet yesterday to review those claims, and I would move for approval for the claims for the period of February 21st, 25 through March 6th of 25.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions of the Finance Committee? Hearing none. Amanda.
North.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
Postier.
Yes.
Wilkinson.
Yes.
Van Esch.
Yes.
McGregor.
Yes.
Next, City Administrator Report. Dr. Crawford.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. I first want to start with thanks to Councilwoman Shepherd and her family and Parks and Rec Director Sheree Foles for their hard work in really setting the stage for a fabulous event that we had last weekend. It was a fundraiser for our creative district, and it was a great time. Great number of people came, and it was a good range of ages and backgrounds. It was really just an amazing good time. So thank you for making that possible. And the other announcement I have is also related to our Nebraska Arts Council Certified Creative District. And that is that we just received word that we received $95,630 for a development grant for the district. This is what we applied for was a grant for things that aren't capital and aren't programs. So it's things like curtains, lights. The name of the grant was Lights, Camera, Action. So they're non-capital, non-program items, which are sometimes hard to find funding for. So I'm super excited that we have that. It is going to help us improve the curtains and lights in the auditorium. And then also we have some funds in there for furthering our mural project. And we have funds to renovate and update the lights and sound system in Yorkshire Theater. So that's an important part of our Creative Arts District. So we really talked about the fact that one of our strengths in the arts is performing arts. And so that Yorkshire Theater is an important part of our district. So we'll be getting a news release out about that, but wanted to get that announcement out. We just received that. Thank you.
Very good. That's great. Our next item is a presentation from William Hefner about Crime Stopper accomplishments, duties, obligations to the residents of York County. Bill, if you would state your name and address for the record, and the microphone is yours.
Pardon me?
Please state your name and address for the record, and then the mic's yours.
I'm William R. Hefner. I'm president of the York County Crime Stoppers. I'm getting confused already. See what you guys are doing? No, reason for my madness. of going out and visiting with everybody about Crime Stoppers is a couple of months ago, we were going out for dinner. A friend of mine says, since you're retired now, what are you gonna do? Well, I said, I joined the Crime Stoppers. I'm president this year. Well, what do they do? What are they for? And so, next meeting I went and I said, okay, members of Crime Stoppers, how many times do we hear this? Every one of them said, I've heard it many times. Meaning for my madness is I'm here to explain to you folks. Hopefully you can take it home, explain it to, and as it grows, so people know what Crime Stoppers are and what they do. We were started about 40 years ago, I guess a little over 40 years ago now. Norm Cobb, I guess, is the official police officer that started Crime Stoppers. Since that time, we have helped the law officers collect over $115,000 worth of goods from the victims that they were stolen goods. So we feel good about that, and I am emphasizing the fact that we assist the police officers, the county sheriff's department. We do not do anything but just assist them. Explain a little bit about the procedure of when we get somebody that reports a clue or something, how it's done. Crime Stoppers itself does not take these calls. These calls are brought to us by the law enforcement officers, county sheriff, police, whatever. And at this time, they give a report on a crime that's been committed. Then we'd like to have them suggest to the committee that there is a reward put out for this crime. The committee will then vote on that, and yes, we will say we will put out up to a certain amount of dollars. Why we say up to is because so many times we get tips. They're really not solid tips, but something that leads us to somebody else. And so when this persons are convicted of this crime, the law enforcement agents, the police, the sheriff, they come back to us and say, okay, this person has been convicted. Now it's time for the Crime Stoppers to come up with some money. So we say, well, how much do you think? Well, this wasn't a real solid help, but it got us started. So maybe we think this person is $150 reward. So it's voted on, they get a reward. How do the people know that they get a reward? When they contact Crime Stoppers, a case number is applied to that person. They are asked to call in occasionally to find out what, if anything, has happened in that case. And so they call in. Crime Stopper says, yes, the persons have been convicted of this crime. You do get a cash reward. Well, how do they get that? We don't know their names. We don't want to know their names. But we got that number. And we use a bank over in Aurora because it's away from the community. And we deposit that money in the bank over there under that number only. No name, just the number. That person goes over to that bank, says Crime Stoppers number such and such and such. They take the cash and they walk out. So this is how we keep everything anonymous. We do get calls from time to time where they do not wish the rewards. The last one we got, it's been almost 2 years now since we've actually put a reward out and had it collected. We deposited the money over in the bank in Aurora, and 90 days later, they still hadn't picked up the money. 120 days later, we brought it back into our account. If they come back and call and want that money, it will go right back over to that bank. but we don't need to have it set over there. We need to have it here where we can work with it. So that's kind of what we do there. There are no paid employees with York County Crime Stoppers. We're all volunteers. The money that we get from donations, grants, gifts, goes to the award itself. We do not keep money on ourselves. The only thing we have fixed expenses, telephone bill, postage and like of that. But other than that, Crime Stoppers takes no money out of the money that's been donated to us. It all goes to rewards. Meaning of my madness too is we need members. Active members, I'm going to say. We have 26 members on our list, 10 show up. Now, why do we need more members? Because the more people we have, the more this information we get out. We have right now $1,500 worth of rewards nobody knows about. We use the radio station. They've agreed to putting out PSAs. Newspaper, I've had a hard time contacting them. We use Melanie, she does the job for us. Facebook pages for the county sheriff, the police department, and the Crime Stoppers. Now, unfortunately, I just checked all 3 Facebook pages tonight. These 3 rewards that we have out present, each of them $500, I couldn't find them. So we need to get this information out with more members. We hope we can get this information to outlying towns. I think I've covered everything I need to scare everybody with. Does anybody have any questions about York County Crime Stoppers?
So when they call that number, that's the police line, or?
Pardon me?
When they call the phone number, that goes to a police or sheriff?
It goes to the Crime Stoppers number, which is 402-362-2999. One of the numbers to remember. If you want to give a donation, the second number to remember is P.O. Box 184, York, Nebraska. If you want to become a member, I'll give you another number. That's my personal number. I will handle it personally, 402-363-1604. So again, thank you for accepting my asking myself to come to the
Yes,
meeting.
no.
And hopefully you understand just a little bit more of what Crime Stoppers do and what we're all about and what we can do for the community.
Thanks for coming and sharing that with us. Thank you. Our next agenda item is consider award of an open contract with Melanie C. Wilkinson to provide advertising and publicity services. This being married to a council member, and how, as we do with anybody that sells any services or could sell services to the city, we just recognize this so that it's transparent. So we just need a motion for that.
I motion to approve the open contract with Melanie Wilkinson to provide advertising and publicity services.
Second.
Very good. Any questions or comments? Amanda?
North,
Yes.
Shepherd,
Yes.
Postier,
Yes.
Wilkinson,
Abstain?
Van Esch,
Yes.
McGregor.
Yes.
Our next item is consider approval of an agreement between the City of York and RDG Planning and Design, Inc. for an update of the city's comprehensive plan in the amount of $50,000. So we're starting the comprehensive plan process, and we're trying to spread the amount of money that it will probably cost us to get all the way through this over 2 budget years. But we want to start the process with them this year, and I think a kickoff meeting within the next weeks. But it's time to do it again. So.
Excited. I think there's a lot of opportunities, a lot of things happening, and good
Yeah.
goes on with this. And
Be some good discussion, and you know, we've got quite a few things that are, as you said, going on, so.
Since I wasn't here before, did we use this company last time as well?
We did.
Okay, I wondered. And then who picks that steering committee? Do you, Barry, or how does that get picked?
A lot of that's to be decided, but I don't know, I wasn't in a position the last time to pick, but I think a lot of it's volunteers and trying to put people in areas where they have expertise.
People can volunteer for
Yeah,
that?
and people can come to it, and then there's open meetings where, they can come to things and talk about stuff, so. But that's kind of what the start of the meeting is to kind of lay those ground rules and decide kind of what process we want to use, and they're very well versed in the processes to go through this, so.
I thought it was noteworthy too for the public, that they are going to have the pop-ups to present the information as it becomes available, so that it's not just like one event, you have to be there, and they'll reach out to the public on some of this stuff as it happens. So I thought that was a good idea.
Well, when you get down to the final book, it's a pretty big document, so if you only get in on it at the end, it's pretty hard to absorb it all, so there's just parts of it that people are more interested in than others as they go through it and how things are, and so,
We had asked for a process that included a lot of public input. So you'll see there's like surveys and pop-ups and meetings and committees, so.
Yeah, that's good.
So we'll keep you well informed on kind of that kickoff, and then you'll be involved too as we go. And I'm sure they'll be here many times to talk to the council too. It's gonna take a while to get through it, so.
So is the 50,000 just for 1 year or 2 years, or the whole plan?
50,000 is for what's in that scope of services.
Oh, this is scope, okay.
Which is
Yeah,
just
this
about
plan.
everything except the discussion of changes in the actual zoning rules, which will probably be the next step.
Oh,
I mean, it looks like, if you look at the timeline, we're getting through most of this in.
It's like 10 months.
Yeah.
We had talked to them that we could get through most of this, all of the stuff that we did and all the things that they're gonna do with this kind of budgeted number, and then budget, and then have a better idea of what we would need to budget to wrap up the process in next year's budget.
And I did confirm they will bill us monthly.
Oh.
So, the scope of services is what the 50,000 is for.
Okay.
The part of it that gets done by the end of September 30th, right, will be in this budget year.
Yeah, okay.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further comments or questions? Amanda?
North,
Yes.
Shepherd,
Yes.
Postier,
Yes.
Wilkinson,
Yes.
Van Esch.
Yes.
McGregor.
Yes.
Next is consider approval of resolution 2025-4 in case of emergency, the city administrator to be authorized to approve purchases over 20,000 with approval of the mayor or council president.
We discussed this with the ordinance committee, so I don't know if anybody on the committee.
So the ordinance committee did discuss this at our last meeting, and it was pointed out that in case of an emergency breakdown, just take the snowstorm that we had, if one of those trucks breaks and it is on a Saturday evening and they need to have the part and can get the part to fix it, instead of waiting for us to come together at the next council meeting, she can go ahead and say, yes, get the part here. We don't have to wait possibly 2 weeks, close to 2 weeks, to get those things, type of things fixed. It would come back to us as a council, after she would approve it, to say that yes, she had approved this, and then she would say why, and so on and so forth. And then we would have to approve it, or not approve it, but there's room for discussion then here of it, was it truly an emergency or was it not?
I guess that was kind of one of my questions, was the last sentence of, to avoid undue additional or substantial inconvenience or expense to the city, like that determination of, is just waiting 2 weeks the inconvenience, or is it like, hey, what is that? And then same thing with bidding, is that, because this doesn't address the need to bid
Right.
also.
Right, so the language that's in there, a good example would be a mechanical breakdown, like something for the landfill or snowplow or something. And so really the question is, and sometimes it is really actually how much would it cost the city in addition? Will it cost the city more to wait 2 weeks to repair this piece of equipment or not. That's why it may not be an emergency in the sense of, you could maybe get by with one less snowplow or something, but so that language is in there with the idea that there are some times when it costs the city more money for some kind of and usually that would be something like a water pump breaks down, or something breaks at the landfill, or something breaks at the sewer plant, right? So do note, it does still have an elected official approval. So it's not just me or whoever's in my
And
position.
looking forward, I think that's a
It
good
is,
thing.
it is the
you know.
mayor or the council president has to also approve it. Yeah.
So as far as the bidding aspect, isn't that over 20,000, we have to bid it out for things too? Would that have to?
Right.
Make that motion or be part of this, that, hey, it's an emergency, we're also waiving the bidding requirement? Or how would we expend that money without?
Well, I think in that case, it's in the best, I think along with the emergency, it's in the best interest of the city, so I think that's what we're saying here. If that would happen, and, I don't see it happening very often, it would truly be for an emergency situation.
Right. It is the case that, that is a.
Hard to predict
you would
what that
be
emergency could be
not-
sometimes.
Right. It would
Well,
be something that you feel like you
$20,000 is
need to
getting
do.
less and less and less all the time. I mean, it's a lot of things exceed.
Well, and I think that's why it's important, I mean, that sometimes isn't gonna get you.
But we don't have a cap on this either, though. I mean, we just.
Obviously, if it's something,
It's got to be within.
pretty substantial, it's gonna be hard
Yeah.
to just, that is gonna take some discussion.
Right.
So, to your point, if it comes back to the council, like what is there, if we decide as a council that wasn't truly an emergency and it's already been spent and.
Then there would be some repercussions too. Then there would be discussion as to the mayor or the president of the council as to why did you do that? And then there'd have to be some discussion there, but I don't foresee this being.
I think that's just for the transparency of it,
Yeah.
to bring it back and say, this is what the thought process was, this is why the decision was made at the time, and this is why we thought it was a benefit. I think that that's important, that be said at a public meeting. If we're gonna, call something an emergency, then we should justify that publicly.
Yeah, and you'll have to explain why you thought it was. so
Right,
important.
we'll have to say why we said it. And I think that, having that there makes it a little harder, makes you really think about it, like what's there. And so I think that's part of the checks and balances of it.
Because I was thinking like in future, I can remember a time when maybe this wasn't such a good idea if we had the wrong people in the offices of that. But now that they have to be accountable, like you're saying, at the time of right afterwards, I think, I'm more accepted to it, I guess. Even for 50 years down the road.
Yeah, and that's the thing about an emergency, it's hard to tell what that might be,
Yeah.
whether that's some kind of I think of things over the years like the downtown fire and, different things that happen that could impose, that there could be a situation where you have to do something rather quickly.
Yep.
If it's not something that has to be done really quickly, I don't think we would use this resolution.
The only thing I don't know is the word "or" the accurate there? Just to prevent harm to life, health, safety, welfare, or property, would be "and" to avoid the undue? Because otherwise, you get rid of all that other stuff and you have an order to say, well, just undue inconvenience to the city, so we approve it. It has nothing to do with the natural disaster, health, or safety, or anything like that. If the word "and" was there, it was to prevent the life, the safety, the welfare, or property, and it's providing that substantial inconvenience or expense to the city to prevent that.
I think the expense part is the part that we're talking about. If it is something that's going to cost the landfill or the sewer plant much more money because you are having to rent something to replace this thing, or so that's the undue cost, is that part. Like, it's not necessarily that it is an emergency in the sense you couldn't
Yeah.
address it, but it's something that, but that is the,
In other
that's
words,
the reason.
the or expense means that that could be on basis to do
Yes.
this on its own.
Yes, yes.
Well, that separates two different types of emergencies. Well, you know, if it was a threat to property or life, health, and safety, or if it was an inconvenience to an expense, I mean, that's two different emergencies
It is.
in a way.
It is two things. It
So that's
is.
why it's all an or in there, I think. And that's how I see it, I guess.
Well, and I do see it as separate, that's what I'm wondering, is it best to keep it separate, or is just in general, hey, this is gonna cost us, an extra $1,000, because we don't wanna wait 2 weeks to get council approval, is that really a justifiable reason to go above this? Unless there, I mean, if there's no emergency, there's no other, risk to property, it's just, hey, this will save us $500 to not our $1,000 to.
I don't think that's the intent.
I know it's not the intent, but we also gotta look at the words do for the unintended consequences of.
Right, but I mean, I think you still have the thing that kicks off in case of an emergency. I don't know that what you're describing as an emergency.
No, and that's what I'm saying, it doesn't say that, because that or takes it out of the emergency.
It is discretion to the mayor. and-
Yeah.
So the ordinance committee, what you had, you moved for, or how did you feel about them?
That's why it's in front of us now.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was-
as it is in
we were
front of us now is what we decided.
Okay.
Would be the right direction to write it with Charlie.
Any other?
You may.
I'd make a move for approval of resolution 2025-4.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Amanda?
North,
Yes.
Shepherd,
Yes.
Postia,
Yes.
Wilkinson,
Yes.
Van Esch.
Yes.
McGregor.
Yes. Our next item is second reading of ordinance number 2382, the annexation of regular tax 15 and 16, part of the south half of section 25, township 11, North Range 3, the west of the 6 p.m. York County, Nebraska. We had the first reading last meeting. This is the second reading of including what is in fact our new industrial park as part of the city, which would allow us to have that in the city and be part of, a TIF project if in fact something came along. So I would, if anyone would like to speak to this matter, they could come to the microphone at this time and you're welcome to speak to it. If not, we'll read this 3 times and have third reading at the next meeting. Seeing no one come to the microphone, I'll consider this the second reading of ordinance number 2382. Our next agenda item is ordinance number 2382 to amend the tax license registration periods provided in code to match the calendar year. We have several things on these next ordinances, trying to clean up some timing. Dan's going to address all of them.
Okay, I'll speak to 14, 15, and 16. So the first one, our contractor renewals, their licenses are good from May 1st, April 30th. We want to set that on the calendar year. We get a lot of requests from the contractors. Oh, the middle of the year, now I got to renew this thing. Why don't you guys just make it the calendar year? 15 is the same way with refuge haulers, only theirs happens to be July 1st to June 30th. So we're gonna make them all match. And these went to the ordinance committee, they're okay with them. Number 16 here, we have different places where it calls for contractor registration, and we want to put the wording in chapter 12 that is our building regulations. So right away it says you need to register as a contractor. And then I would ask that on all 3 of these that you would suspend the rules. Those contractor registrations are coming up, and we're going to send out a letter to, if you guys okay this, to let all the contractors know that we've changed that date and they don't have to worry about the May 1st deadline.
So in essence, they're good to go until January 1.
Right.
Right? Everybody that has a license currently,
Yes.
good to go now till January.
They get a 6-month carryover, so to get us all on the calendar year.
Everybody on the same.
So all these things kind of work like people's brains do.
Yes, yes.
Right.
And then we would still have any new contractor, they would still have to register.
Right.
You know, clear, from now, through the end of the year. And part of the other thing we talked about, as we get into the construction period, someone will come in March 1st, they register as a contractor, and then May 1st it expires. And we don't have a proration. We think it would help, you know, we do this January 1st, then they're gearing up for the construction season and don't have to worry about, oh, halfway through my construction season it expired.
Makes good
This-
sense.
This
Just cleans everything up.
Yeah, it's way easier to forget to renew it if it's in the middle of the
Yeah.
year. That's-
Yeah.
And with everything
That's
going
kinda
digital, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and with remember our online permitting also has contractor registration in it, and that falls in line, make that a smoother transition.
Yeah.
Any questions of Dan? I think it's some good housekeeping things to do. So we need to take these one at a time, and if you're so inclined to suspend the rules, then we could get these passed tonight.
Move to suspend the rules. Ordinance 2383.
Second.
Motion is second, Amanda.
North.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
Postier.
Yes.
Wilkinson.
Yes.
Van Esch.
Yes.
McGregor.
Yes.
Move for approval passage, move for approval of ordinance number 2383.
Second.
Motion is second, Amanda.
North.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
Postier.
Yes.
Wilkinson.
Yes.
Van Esch.
Yes.
McGregor.
Yes.
Our next agenda item would then be the same thing with ordinance number 2384.
I move to suspend the rules for ordinance number 2384.
Second.
Motion is second, Amanda.
North.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
Postier.
Yes.
Wilkinson.
Yes.
Van Esch.
Yes.
McGregor.
Yes.
Move for passage of ordinance 2384.
Second.
Motion is second, Amanda.
North.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
Postier.
Yes.
Wilkinson.
Yes.
Van Esch.
Yes.
McGregor.
Yes.
And now ordinance number 2385.
Move to suspend the rules for ordinance 2385.
Second.
Motion is second, Amanda.
North.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
Postier.
Yes.
Wilkinson.
Yes.
Van Esch.
Yes.
McGregor.
Yes.
Move for passages of ordinance 2385.
Second.
And Amanda.
North.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
Postier.
Yes.
Wilkinson.
Yes.
Van Esch.
Yes.
McGregor.
Yes.
Our last agenda item is consider a motion to go into closed session to discuss potential option for sale of real estate. So we would need a motion to do that, and then at the end of that motion, we would have to ask all of you to leave.
So moved.
But thank you all for coming.
Second.
Motion and a second, Amanda.
North.
Yes.
Shepherd.
Yes.
Postier.
Yes.
Wilkinson.
Yes.
Van Esch.
Yes.
McGregor.
Yes.
Yes, thank you for everyone that attended tonight. Appreciate it.